Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his
Just so
name
you
up the
guys
lights, he
know,
just wants to be
I am not the special guest. I have a special friend that wanted to come in and say hello to all the girls at the program, and have some questions asked to her. We wanted to see what your reaction would be. Hopefully it lifts your spirits. I'm going to let her in right now. I don't know if you know her or not. She is the best women's basketball player on the planet. Does anybody know who that is? Breanna Stewart is with us.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Bree. Where are you? I can't find you.
I'm at the top, I think.
There you are. You guys can pin her if you want, so that you can see her. Ask questions in the group chat that is down below, anything that you currently have. But Bree, thank you so much for joining everybody, taking the time out of your day to hang out and have some questions asked. We've got a wide range of girls from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade.
What's up, guys? Man, I know most of you guys put me on mute, but
Yeah, they're on mute.
I hope you guys are all doing okay, staying safe.
Yeah,
maybe you're
awesome.
happy that there's no school.
But there's no hoops either. That's the bad part. Our head coach, Derek Lyons, has a couple questions to kick off, and then if the girls have questions, I'll ask them from the chat. And then I've got questions also that I can ask as well.
Cool.
Hi, Bree. Coach Lyons here. We really appreciate you coming on and talking to the girls. As you know, I mean, growing up in Central New York, you were a girl that, you came from being in Central New York and you became the best women's basketball player in the world. Couple things I'd like you to touch on for these girls are, growing up, your work ethic, some motivation that kept you going, some obstacles that you had to go through, and how did you take each practice? For instance, you obviously probably were the best player on your team growing up. Did you work like that in practice, or did you actually go above and beyond and, try to make your teammates better and show them, how much work it takes to be a great player?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think back to when I was younger, I mean, this is a mix of all, what age groups? 14?
So sixth grade travel. We have a 6th grade travel program. And so everybody going into like the modified, how you start in 7th grade and be modified. So these kids, now that we don't go back to school, are technically going into 7th grade. So it's basically our school program.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think when I think back to when I was younger, 7th grade is kind of when basketball gets a little bit more serious. You're a step closer to high school, a step closer to varsity. And I was on the Syracuse Stars, which, I mean, I don't even know if you guys know, but I played Syracuse Stars, and, a lot of my teammates were better than me. I was a skinny, long, lanky kid who didn't really know much about basketball, but I used that to motivate me. I remember going to practice and I couldn't dribble between my legs, and I was in my basement during the winter trying to figure out how to dribble between my legs. And then obviously, you guys probably all know I've grown up dribbling around my block. Coach Parks, he knows all about that because we're neighbors. But
Well, that's all we saw was you dribbling around the block constantly.
And at first people thought I was crazy. That's definitely for sure. But I was motivated, and I felt like, when you have the opportunity to continue to get better at something, that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't know basketball would kind of take me to this place, and be in the WNBA, be playing on the Olympic team, all of these things. But it's what I worked for. You know, I wanted to continue to get better. And even right now, I want to continue to get better and become the best player I can be.
Coach Lyons, you got anything else you want to ask?
Yeah. You know, obviously, you know, you played at CNS, which is, you know, 15, 20 minutes right down the road from us. And, you know, you guys won multiple state championships. You guys traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, I think even the second best player went to Lemoyne. Was it Michaela? Is that Michaela? Robert?
I didn't really play with Michaela, but like a lot of my teammates went D1.
Okay.
Some went D1, some went to D2, and they had opportunities.
How were your practices, you know, at CNS? I mean, did you guys just go in and say, hey, you know, we're the best team, or did you guys go in there and try to make each other better every day?
Yeah. You know, my practices at CNS, Coach Smith was my coach. They were intense. And, you know, now as I go from CNS to UConn to WNBA, like practice gets more and more intense, like as you continue to go up. But he was never satisfied. And because he was never satisfied, you know, we were never satisfied. And we had drills that, you know, we have to get a certain amount of layups perfect to move on to the next spot, or like shots, or just really anything, and make sure that we continue to kind of stay hungry. And, you know, yeah, we win games, but we have bigger goals than just winning games. You know, we want to win championships. And I mean, we kind of, you know, really kind of created that culture and created that mindset for CNS. And even after I've left, they still have been pretty dominant. And I think that's because, you know, once you have something and you create that program, people know that, you know, the expectations are high, and the expectations are also making the people behind me and the people behind you guys work harder.
That's great. Go ahead,
I'm
Derek.
good. No, I'm good. I was going to say, you go.
Girls, feel free. Yeah, type in the chat. I know that maybe you're just kind of staring, and that's okay too. Bree, I got a question. You've played in Russia, you've played in China. Which did you like better?
So I played in China my first 2 years, and I was in Shanghai. And for me, you know, China was a great experience. Never went to China before. Shanghai is an amazing city, probably the best city to be in if I'm going to be in China, to be honest. But then these past 2 years I played in Russia, and I mean, I prefer Russia because the basketball's better. In China, I was the only foreigner. So there was no other Americans with me. So it's me and 11 other Chinese players. So it makes things a little bit more difficult. In Russia, you can have more foreigners, and the competition's better. And we traveled all over Europe to really play games.
Oh, that's cool. What about, all right, so Russia, China, you're in Seattle. You're living in Seattle now.
Yep.
East Coast, West Coast. What do we like?
I mean, I'm an East Coaster at heart, that's for sure. But Seattle, I mean, it's a beautiful city. I mean, today's a beautiful day out, but to have, you know, a very chill vibe, not as much fast paced as the East Coast, and the weather's nice. You know, I'm only here in the summertime, so I'm lucky that I'm here for the warm weather and stuff like that. But, you know, never forget where you came from, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is the plan to go back to Russia again this year?
This year?
Yeah, well, if there is basketball.
No. The season's done in Russia.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know if you guys know, but obviously when everything started happening with the NBA, I was in Russia, and shortly after that, my Russian season was finished, and then I went home.
Yeah. How's the injury?
It's good. My leg is good. I've been just really working hard to get back. Obviously, I was in Russia, so I was able to play a little bit, and got to a point where I didn't have a minute restriction anymore. So in the beginning, I could only play 15 minutes a game, and then the next game was 20, something like that.
Yeah.
So it felt good to be able to play free. And now, while I'm home, I'm just doing a lot of home workouts and making sure that my leg continues to get strong and stay loose and ready for whenever they say it's okay to play again.
Yeah, it's fun. I watch, of course, we follow you on social media and stuff. Girls, if you don't, it's a new social media follow for definitely sure. If no one's typing any questions, I don't know what's going on. I think we've silenced them all, which has never happened.
Let's call them out, or at least let's let them. Can any of the girls build up a little strength? And
there you go. We got one question.
It's from Tolino. She's the coach. That's not fair. Mandy Miller, why don't you get on and ask Bree a question?
It's your chance.
Come on, Mandy.
Where's Mandy?
I don't.
I see her.
What inspired you to play basketball, or who? Yeah.
I started playing basketball. I don't know. I think my dad probably inspired me to play. When I was younger, he would always play at the downtown YMCA, and he would play pickup, and he would bring me just because the other kids were there, and we would run around and whatever. And as I started to have more of an interest in basketball, the roles kind of reversed. We would still go to the Y, but I was the one playing, and he was the one sitting and watching. But he's the one that definitely got me started into it, and kind of was my biggest fan, but also my biggest critic, and making sure that he would help me get to where I wanted to be. And that means tell me the things that I don't want to hear. So I'm sure all of your parents and your coaches tell you things that you don't want to hear about, what you could be doing better and stuff like that. But you want to hear it from them instead of someone else.
He was the one that told her to go dribble around the block. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. He did, and I didn't listen at first. So wasn't just a thing that was like, okay.
A couple others that are coming in now. What was one of the things that you learned most from Coach Auriemma at UConn?
I think the biggest thing I learned from Coach Auriemma is, just continuing to demand greatness and, learn how to really dominate at all times. And that means, I have to bring my best in practice and bring my best in the game, obviously. But, I think sometimes people and kids, you guys just think about, you want to play well in the games. Well, to play well in the games, you have to be consistent and play and do well in practice. And that really carries over. And, being the hardest working player on your team. And if you want to be a leader and you want other people to work hard, then you need to kind of lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to love practice. That you really do.
He uses you a lot when he speaks. If you watch any of his clinics or something, he always talks about how he push you even though you were the best player on the team. And I've just seen.
I'm glad he talks nice about me now, but
yeah. So, Todd, if we can, let's let the girls ask, even though they're typing. I think Claire was next, or Lydia, so they can kind of get a little interaction with Bree.
Go ahead, Claire, hit it.
In high school, how many hours a day did you practice to get where you are right now?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I would, let's say we had practice after school. I would, have practice from 3 to 5, and then I would work out with Pete Moore, which I don't know if you guys know him, but he works out a lot of people at CNS, and I would work out with him afterwards. And it's just something that kind of became my routine, and I guess it's weird to have a routine when I was that young, but I was making sure that I was ready for the season. And I think, a thing that a lot of kids ask me is how many hours, how many hours do you practice and this and that. And it's not really about hours, it's not about how much time you're practicing, but it's like when you're practicing, are you actually like pushing yourself to be better? And I think that's the difference.
Gina Abbott, you want to turn your mic on and ask a question?
What are some of the stuff you did in the off season?
When I was in high school, or
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like high
and
school.
in high school in the off season, I did AAU. So AAU was the thing that happened in the fall, in the spring, in the summer. I mean, you guys know. And then I was hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. I mean, I played volleyball for like a hot second, and then I was like, nope.
Should have stayed with it.
I know I should have. I wish I did. Like 25-year-old me wishes that I did. But yeah, and then in college it was the same thing. Obviously USA basketball was happening in the summer times, but usually when we were at UConn, we had to be there in the summertime for summer school, and then obviously we're there from August until April and May.
Awesome. Lydia, do you want to ask your question?
What was like the most important thing you looked for when you were like choosing a college?
The most important thing I looked for when I was deciding on where I wanted to go to school was, obviously how comfortable I felt with the coaches and the players and stuff like that. But also where could I go where I was going to be really pushed to my limit. And, I wanted to make sure that when I left, I was a better player than when I came in. So that's why, I chose UConn because, look at all the people that have gone through that program. And I wanted to kind of be in a similar situation as them and make an impact in the WNBA.
I'm sure that your last game, beating Syracuse in the national championship, was kind of bittersweet, or how was that?
I don't know if you guys know, but usually like when people are in their senior year, like UConn, they try to play in their hometown during the regular season. So Syracuse didn't want to play us. It's at the Dome, which was kind of upsetting to me. But we played at Colgate, which was nice. So to play them in the finals of my senior year for the championship, it was very fitting because it was like, well, maybe if you played us, you would have been prepared more against us.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
I know that there's a question. What was it like, the experience, and if you could talk about it a little bit, the Olympics and your Olympic experience in particular?
The Olympics was something that I've always dreamed of, ever since I started playing USA basketball, which was like 14. It was a dream of mine. Before then I didn't really know it was a thing. And then, when they said I can play at the Olympics and represent my country, like that's what I wanted to do. And, it was in my rookie year. So it was right after I got drafted #1. I played in Seattle for a little bit, and then the Olympics happened and we went to Rio, and it was kind of like, it was like a whirlwind. You see all these athletes coming from all over the place. Obviously you're playing against the best teams in the world. You're playing with, that 2016 team, we had 12 of the best players in the world. And I think it was probably one of the most dominant Olympic performances for USA basketball. But it's just an honor, when you get to see how much pride people have in representing their country, and even the fans, like it's something that you can't forget. And I think for me, obviously you guys know Tokyo was postponed till 2021, but I'm just happy that it was postponed and not canceled, and I have an opportunity to play next summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have any other questions? I've got another one that I'd like to ask. I know that I play some basketball with Coach Osborne and Coach Lyons, and I love playing with Coach Lyons because he passes me the ball. Who has been your favorite player across the board from high school right on through to the pros that you love playing with?
I mean,
played with.
I love playing with Sue Bird, and I think it's an easy out, it's an easy answer, but she's the best point guard in the game, and she just, you know, her basketball IQ is off the charts, but obviously, you know, understanding what she's gonna do, and you know, really being able to play with someone who's a legend, and they're still doing what they can on the court.
Yeah, that's got to be fun. All right. What did you get your degree in? You have a 4-year degree from UConn. What was it in?
So I got a degree in basically learning how to build nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So it was actually an individualized major. So at UConn, I could kind of like create something that catered to me. And, you know, at some point in my career, I would like to have a nonprofit organization or a foundation. And I just kind of wanted to understand the ins and outs of that a little bit. And I have a minor in communication. So it was pretty good.
Is that something that you're thinking about after basketball? I know we've got a long ways, hopefully before the end of basketball for you, but have you given any thought to what you would actually want to do when basketball's over, or is that too far in the distance?
To be honest, I don't know. You know, I want to do something that still involves basketball, but haven't really kind of figured out exactly what just yet. And I mean, I have time, so that's the nice part.
We've got to work on getting you your own sneaker. That's what we have to work on next. I mean, I know you're wearing Kevin Durant's sneaker, but I think you need your own.
I think so too.
All right. Anyone else? I know that Bree's got another meeting at 5:30, another interview that she's doing. Bree, did the name?
Not with teams. So
not with teams, but this is the first. Yeah, this is the first.
You guys are the first.
Tracy, I know you're probably listening. Thank you for everything that you did today. I appreciate it. And the whole thing that you're putting together is called Around the Block, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that from the whole dribbling around the block? Is that what it was from, or is that just
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give you guys like a little brief description, but you know, it's going to be something where obviously as people aren't able to play, you know, you guys aren't able to play. There's a lot of AAU high school teams across the country where they don't have basketball. And, you know, we came up with something called Around the Block because obviously I used to dribble around my block, and just give you guys an opportunity to kind of ask me questions and talk to me. And you guys were the first ones to be a part of it. So, you know, hopefully there's going to be a lot more coming.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Coach Lyons, any last words?
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. We thank you very much. Do you mind if we share this on Twitter and other social media? Or
yeah, do whatever you want.
Okay. And also, by the way, you did come to our camp one year, and I got your autograph on a basketball. It's right behind me. But I wanted to thank you for that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Girls, you guys got anything before we head out? And at least, you know, anything quick?
Please unmute your mics and at least say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bree. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I'll talk to you soon.
It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Tox picking it up. Let's go. Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still even him starstruck.